These latest headlines from ABC15 are sponsored by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorneys. One call, that's all.
I'm Faye Fredericks with your top stories from ABC15 Arizona. ABC15 following the ongoing protests across the valley, demonstrators speaking out against the rollout of President Trump's long-promised mass deportation plan. Sweet James Chopper capturing these images from 43rd Avenue in McDowell this week. Last night in Phoenix, more protesters marching on the streets and demonstrating in front of the Phoenix ICE offices and outside the state Capitol building. At one point, some demonstrators shutting down surface streets in the area and even I-10 at 7th Avenue. Police say they dispersed that crowd at about 9 o'clock, some 6 hours after the protests began at a downtown park. In the state of education, ABC15 tracking the ongoing financial trouble in school districts across our state. Right now, the Phoenix Elementary District is the latest to consider closing schools amid declining enrollment and funding. The district board is considering a plan to close Dunbar Elementary and move those students to Bethune. The district may also close Hurd Elementary and move those students to Capitol. They say bus transportation will be available. One of those schools, by the way, just has over 100 students. The 153-year-old district says lower birth rates and the rising cost of living are pushing families out of the downtown area, and that's contributed to a serious budget deficit. The district superintendent sending this video message to Phoenix elementary parents.
So that we find that solution path that gets us to balance our budget this year and build a strong carry-forward balance for subsequent years, so that the next 153 years do not have to be a time where we worry about finances, but instead we worry about how many children we're able to serve.
The district is holding the first of 4 public meetings tonight so the community can share their thoughts on the proposal. It's happening in the district governing board room at the address there on your screen. It's tonight at 5:15. Find out more at abc15.com. Arizona's newest Supreme Court justice going one-on-one with ABC15 as she begins her time on the state's highest court. Justice Maria Elena Cruz was sworn in Monday, the first justice appointed by Governor Katie Hobbs and the only justice on the court appointed by a Democrat. Cruz, who most recently served as a judge in the Court of Appeals, is originally from Yuma and has dedicated her professional career to the Grand Canyon State.
My perspective is one that's going to inform how I relate to the other 6 justices. My understanding of the law in some cases may be different than their understanding, but that's something that we're going to take one case at a time.
Cruz is also making history with her new role as the state's first Latina and Black justice. Checking top consumer headlines around the nation, U.S. manufacturing activity has expanded for the first time since 2022. Orders also increased in January and production sped up. The Institute for Supply Management's manufacturing gauge went up to a reading of 50.9 in January. Anything over 50 indicates growth. Meanwhile, new orders were higher for a 5th straight month. That indicates an increase in demand, which led producers to boost output. Data was collected before President Trump announced 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico over the fentanyl crisis and illegal immigration. The tariff risked disrupting supply chains for U.S. producers. Right now, those tariffs are on hold for at least a month. New report provides a sobering look at climate change and the impact on real estate prices. The climate analytics firm First Street put out the study called Prosperity Prices in Peril. The report estimates real estate prices will plummet by $1 trillion by 2055. Researchers say part of the problem is more people will leave areas where climate risks and insurance costs become too high. Places like Tampa could see a major drop in home prices, as much as 25%, they say, while those living in parts of the Midwest could be the most resilient over the coming decades. Tracking your forecast, I'm Chief Meteorologist Amber Sellens. Temperatures finally starting to drop after 3 days of either tying or breaking records. Tomorrow's record 87, so even though we'll still touch 80 degrees, that record looks safe right now as we start to see temperatures drop. Winds are still going to be an issue up north. We've got more breezes along the I-40 corridor, along the Mogollon Rim, and across northeastern Arizona, but generally light winds here in the valley throughout the day. High pressure that's been keeping things warm moving east. Low pressure starting to move in, and this
this is going to pass to our north late Friday and Saturday. It might bring a few isolated showers to northern Arizona, but most of the moisture with this is going to stay farther north. The next storm system coming in might bring a few more spotty showers early next week to the high country, but right now our valley forecast is looking dry. Here's the next 7 days for you. 80 on Wednesday and Thursday, then we drop into the 70s heading into Super Bowl weekend.